The first one that I get a lot is that it's a low mileage or less is more type of program, and I can attest to you that that is not that is not the case. Even VeloPress, who published Hanson's Marathon Method books, they were kind of on that train at the start as well. They wanted a title to kind of reflect that, and I know that when Kevin and Keith gave me the opportunity to write the book, we saw it and we're like, I don't really know if that's the best route to go. We kind of explained to him, you really have to look beyond certain aspects of the program, and you'll realize that it's definitely not a less is more. You're running 6 days a week, and even though the long run is only 16 miles, you're putting in a significant amount of mileage, and really more miles than a lot of programs you'll find, free programs on the web, or, what you see in other books and things like that. So you really have to take a whole 30,000 foot view of what the program's really saying, and not be so hyper focused on one aspect. And so, as I mentioned, I think that people get stuck on that 16-mile thing pretty easily, because that's that's the point that people see the most. Like that's what was marketed in the book, and that's what people will first bring up, is that the long run is only 16 miles. And like I said, I think people get really fixated on that, and it's not the whole program, and they tend to put blinders on what they just see. That they don't really look at what you're doing before and after that. And so I think you really have to look at what you're doing leading up to that 16-mile long run, and then what you're doing after that. And so it really becomes a point of balance, and being able to fit a lot more stuff into a program than just putting a hyper focus on the long run. And then I think too, where people get fixated is they will look at like the first 2 weeks of the program, and more so the beginner program, a little bit less in with the advanced program, because you jump into certain things a little bit quicker in the advanced program. But in the beginner plan, for sure, you have several weeks where it's a very gradual build up. I agree that when you look at that, yes, you would kind of look at that like, oh, it's not really a whole lot. But once you actually get into the program beyond that first few weeks, and we start doing some things, then I think that it becomes clear really quick that it's not a less is more plan. So I'm going to talk more about the 16-mile long run in a second. But the truth is, with HMM, you definitely put in a significant amount of miles. Like I said, you're building to 6 days a week. You're running 2 to 3, what we call SOS days per week, which, 2 workouts in a long run. And then your easy volume is fairly significant, with, being over an hour for a lot of people on your easy runs. And so the mileage will add up pretty quickly. And, what we have found, that it's not necessarily the volume that gets to people, it's when the intensity is too much for a person. And so, but we do, I think, a really good job of just putting that into context in the book, and trying to explain. And, whether you see on these podcasts and things like that, where we really put a lot of emphasis on appropriate intensities given the day. And I think if people can kind of lock into that mentality, they not only survive the training, but they actually thrive with the training. And so it's hard for sure, but it's incredibly doable when you go beyond what you just see in highlights and what other people are saying about the book or whatever, but haven't really put it into practice completely. And so you can do a lot more than you think you can, and we hold your hand to do that for you with the book, with everything on our site and everything like that. I would take a little bit deeper dive into some of that stuff and see if it's a right fit for you.